Disruptive technologies are when something is changed not by 3 or 5%, but when it's literally 100% different. An example of this was actually done with the Swiss in the late 60s, early 70s, when quartz watches came out. They didn't recognize the change, and they literally almost overnight lost 95% of the market. And of course, other countries gained that 95%. Another example is, see if you can guess who this company is. They have on their website, turning creative ideas into breakthroughs. They invented the first grammar checker, first electronic dictionaries in 95, invented laptop word processors in 89, started building PDAs in 94, and they built the basic laptop 10 years ahead of their competitors. This could have been HP, but guess what? It isn't. It's actually Smith Corona, the best typewriter company in the world. And this is not a compliment today. The changes that have happened to them were that they didn't recognize what was happening in the market space. There was plenty of people inside the corporation that was telling the executives, hey, we've got to make a change. And they actually went and tried to do a deal with Acer to build laptops. And they could have been an amazing powerhouse in the technology industry. But instead, the executives thought they were smarter than the rest of the corporation, and they moved down to Mexico to try to just make cheaper typewriters. And this didn't work. It didn't help them innovate, and literally within 2 years they were in bankruptcy. Another disruptive technology you might recognize is WordPerfect actually had 90% share of the word processor market, but they didn't recognize the threat when Microsoft came out with Microsoft Office. And literally within 2 years, they had lost 90% of their market share, and Microsoft had gained 90%, and they had to sell out to Corel, and they had to do massive layoffs. This was exactly the same issue as what Smith Corona went through, which was the executives weren't listening to their people on the front line, and they maybe just didn't have a way to listen to them. When the people on the front line come up with ideas, which happens all the time, there's huge idea generation. They see new markets that could fill a hole for the corporation, or maybe a new process or a way to handle an objection. But unfortunately, the problem is they come up with these great ideas, but the corporation has to capture that idea first. And once in a while, they're able to have that innovation happen inside of a corporation, and then you get these disruptive technologies that actually create new markets. And here's some of them that you might recognize that have happened over the past decade. These are some of the biggest that have happened. First of all, in 2000, we had Google AdWords that came out. 2001, you had Wikipedia that launched. 2006, you had Facebook and Twitter that became mainstream. And in 2007, the iPhone. In 2010, you'll see the ideal response becomes one of those disruptive technologies. And the Google AdWords changed everything because it became the first business search engine that business could actually use to do business different than it did in the 1990s. Wikipedia changed because it became the wisdom of the crowd instead of just the individual blog. 2006, we had Facebook and Twitter that became mainstream, and that was really social learning and a social connection. 2007, the iPhone became a mobile platform, not just a phone. In 2010, Ideal Response combined all of those, a business search engine with the wisdom of crowds, with the social learning on a mobile phone. All of this combined gave the business the first verbal business intelligence system.